They picked up the phone and they ended up coming back to us. Let me tell you about a story of a moving company in a large city area, and the story of the tension of marketing and SEO and results and things that didn't work. And it'll be really important to you because I think it'll resonate. This is not about another moving company trying to get leads. It's about a story of an owner who wants to win, dominate, make some money, and in the whole process, having to work with an agency like ours in that process. This moving company, they did the right things. They had the right operations. They took pride in what they did. It was led by an owner who wanted more than just growth. They wanted total market domination. He wanted to win, but not just for himself, but for his team, for his company. Because for him, it wasn't just purely about the revenue, but the revenue was very important. It was about keeping the trucks moving. It was about getting his guys working. And he wanted to partner with a company like ours, a marketing company that takes them to the next level. He had a big vision and he needed a company to partner with him. Here's a key part. He didn't want to just win all over, but he wanted to be known as the best of the best. He wanted to be the company that dominates everywhere in the market, shows up everywhere, but also sets the standard for what a moving company should be. Operationally, they were doing everything right. But when it came to marketing and the results, they were struggling with the clarity, the attribution. They were struggling with what was working, and they started to question everything. You would probably do the same thing in this situation. So here's where it gets interesting. They were actually working with us for a year beforehand, and then last year in January, they decided to leave us. And almost immediately, things did go sideways, unfortunately. They moved to a new marketing provider, and one of the first things that happened was a website rebuild. But when the site got launched with this new agency, it wasn't built right. Slow load speed, there's weak on-page and site structure, and everything just wasn't tied together. It looked good visually, but on the back end, it didn't work well. And that's what really ended up causing things to tank with this new agency. The rankings started to drop, the visibility started to drop, and the lead flow dropped as well, which obviously is tied to revenue. A couple months later, organic traffic had fallen down to like 150 clicks per month, and it felt like everything slowed down for them, both revenue and leads. And they also didn't know where the next jobs were coming from. They didn't have visibility into the rankings, and they didn't have clarity into the performance. So it actually got really serious, to the point where they actually started considering layoffs if things didn't turn around. This is the moment that the story starts, because they picked up the phone and they ended up coming back to us. They switched back. And when they came back to us, it wasn't just a let's do marketing again. There was a realignment that we had together. And this is what's really important with a marketing agency partnership. You've got to align around the vision and the reality of the expectations to come. So we got real about what went wrong before on our end. We got clear on the expectations, and we rebuilt trust step by step. And then we finally went down and got to work. First, we ended up taking the website and we rebuilt it completely. We created a brand new foundation. We completely gutted their website and not just made it look beautifully, but beautifully on the inside, the content, the structuring, the coding. It was very conversion focused, there was clear messaging, and the website was built to turn traffic into booked jobs. Then we went after the visibility. We started expanding their service area on their website. And then we also went in and we started optimizing their Google business profile. We built that for authority and pushed rankings for high intent keywords. And this is where things started to shift very fast. Within months, they went from barely visible to ranking in dozens of high intent, what we call money keywords in their major city. Money keywords are keywords that when you get ranked for, you make some money from. So they started not just showing up, but they started competing. Their organic clicks finally went back to normal and eventually doubled every single month. They added improved rankings for 38 high intent keywords. And then that's where we then ended up layering in Google local service ads. When we stepped into Google local service ads, the issue wasn't necessarily purely just lead quality, although there's a lot of bad leads that come with that. It was really what was happening after the lead came in. The missed calls, the slow follow-up, the leads slipping through the cracks. So we optimized the account, tightened up the zip codes, and built a system behind it. And the impact was immediate. They went from inefficient performance on Google LSA to consistently generating a 4 times return on ad spend. They went from a 1.5 times ROI on Google LSA to a 4 times return on investment for Google LSA, which obviously they lowered their cost per acquisition and booked more jobs from the same lead volume. And again, this is the same market and the same demand as before. but a completely different outcome. And this is where it gets kind of fun. So the revenue from SEO alone increased 20% year over year. Even in the off season, they had an increase in sales from Google Ads. That's when they started adding in new trucks. They started launching another location. And this is what growth starts to look like. You get the foundation set up right, and then you get to launch a new location. And when you started to zoom out, they realized, and we showed them with real data and real attribution tracking, that they were getting a 7.12 times ROI since restarting with us. That's not marketing fluff. That's real revenue tied back to real strategy. The tension of restarting and doing things a different way. But the biggest win, it wasn't rankings, it wasn't traffic, it wasn't ROI, it was a lot more certainty that got built into their process. They knew where their leads came from. They knew what was actually working. They knew how to suddenly start to scale, and instead of worrying about layoffs, they were thinking about expansion and domination. That's the shift. And so, if you're in a position where you are spending money on marketing, but you can't tie that marketing to real booked jobs, and you're not sure where your leads are coming from, or you just feel like you should be further along than you are, then let's fix that. This is your responsibility. You've got to fix that. And you can work with agencies that know the process to get that fixed and get you the clarity you need for your business. So if you have any interest in that, I want you to book a discovery call with our team. We get to walk through the real numbers that you have in your business right now, your current market and your current strategy. And we will show you exactly where the gaps are and what it would take to turn your marketing into predictable revenue. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about traffic. It's about building a business that actually grows.